There we go.
I've got a computer I could actually probably chat and
It's live now.
There we go.
I just got the signal. I just got the blue sign from Hangouts Air saying you are live. It took a while though. Hey guys, I didn't send out an announcement. I'll have to figure out how to do that for next week. I have got in our series of Contact in the Community, I've got with me tonight Dawn Noel. We know her as Prettydark.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for coming and chatting with me.
Thank you, Eileen. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and you know what? You are crystal clear. I'm a bit fuzzy, but we do have a storm overhead, so my Wi-Fi is a little bit spotty, especially when we get big thundery storms rolling in. So if anything happens to tonight's broadcast, guys, I will try to get back on right away, and if I can't, I will reschedule Pretty Dark for next Wednesday, same time, 8 p.m.
Great.
So we were emailing back and forth a little bit, very, very little on contact in the community because you know that book that we've been reviewing, Beyond UFOs, with Ray Hernandez as one of the...
Ray Hernandez?
Mm-hmm. And he kind of lumps together with the noetic sciences and Edgar Mitchell, all kinds of contact as one category, and that is communicating via consciousness. So that could be with off-world life, normally called aliens. That could be with ghosts, dead loved ones, spirit guides, right? You know, we have a long human tradition of communicating with our spirit guides. What else? Orbs, I guess. Am I forgetting anything that he puts in that category? It's basically anything that has intelligence that is not on Earth and is not human.
Anything.
All of it. And
yeah.
I'm still working on that. Everybody else is like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool to me.
No, I totally agree.
See, and I'm still trying to put it all together in my little compartmentalized mind, because I kind of lump ghosts in one category, spirit guides in a much higher category with like your higher self, and aliens in a totally different category, like other, like humans, but born and raised off the planet, you know, that kind of life. I never associated that with ghosts or guides. I gave guides the same respect as like angels, you know. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, you don't have to disclose your exact location because we're on YouTube, but what part of the country you live in or state and what you do. So we know just a little bit more about you before we start talking about contact.
I live in Winnipeg, which is in Manitoba, Canada. So pretty much the center of the continent. And I'm an artist. That's what I do.
Can see that.
And I'm recovering from black mold, toxic black mold. So I swim every day, but I don't have a lot of energy. I'm kind of like it's like I've got an autoimmune issue or something like that. I have low energy. I'm really tired. So that's what I do.
How did you come in contact with black mold? Was it in a house?
Well, I guess it was part of my soul contract to get me right on track of where I should be. I think, honestly, you know, I did that to myself to get me exactly where I needed to be on my path. Because before then I was really in a victim complex. I had, you know, my life was really hard and I felt really bad for myself. Wow. And then after that, I had no energy for anything superfluous. So I gave up, you know, feeling down and feeling depressed and all of that. And I have been just on this path really, really focused since then.
What an amazing story. A lot of people who have experienced their maybe darkest days find that it totally changed them in some way, that once they survived that, it was the most beneficial thing that could have ever happened. That's what you're like sounding like. It like transitioned you spiritually.
It completely put me onto a totally different level. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is really, really inspiring. You know, especially for people out there who hear this, who are on a particularly hard time at the moment, who are experiencing those dark days. And it kind of gives them hope that at the end of this, there's going to be good days ahead, like even better days ahead.
Absolutely. I hope so, because I think that's what we set in when we build a path for ourselves, our soul contract time, which of course is right now, but time is all we make it up. It's not really real. It's part of the story we're telling ourselves.
Yes,
So
in our community, we tend to think of time as the snake swallowing its own tail, right? That it's all happening at once. The past, present, and future is happening now. We're seeing it stretched out so we can comprehend it and respond to it and digest it. And we can still change it in either direction, because if you change your future, that could change your past.
it's
And
malleable, and we're the
wow,
creators of it, which is, of course, why the Mandela effect is simply kind of like the markers of where we've been and where we're going, what we're doing. And I listen to a lot of QHHT type, like the stories that are coming out of those, and I think we're especially star seeds, contactees. We are because we're kind of observant. We're aware, at least to a small degree. We're aware of what we're doing. We're observant of our reality, of our environment, and we just shift from timeline to timeline. And what we're trying to do is weave together the master ascension timeline that we're all on.
wow, that is really, yes, I gotta agree with it 100%. I feel like all of that is connected. And is that what brought us together? Pretty dark, the Mandela effect. Do you think that the Mandela effect brought us together primarily on
I
Shane's channel, Unbiased and on the Fence?
I think so, because I think that's how I found Shane originally, was looking for the Mandela effect on YouTube.
Me too.
Isn't that great?
Me too. And it brought together a lot of like-minded people.
A lot. You guys are going to have so much fun at ESETI.
I know, I want to wrap you up and take you with us in my suitcase. I'd have
I'll
to have
be
a
there.
lot of suitcases. There's a lot of people I want to bring.
I'll be there as my higher self, but this self will be here in Winnipeg. Yeah.
Yes, well, but if we get to do a live broadcast from there, you'll be with us as well. And I know you'll be with us the whole time anyway,
I will be.
because we understand entanglement and there is no true separation. I know you are, like, we talked about this feeling of being one, the oneness you experience with all humanity. And then suddenly you're starting to feel one with the animals around you. And then you're starting to feel one with the rocks and the minerals and the sky and the trees. And for me, I feel at one with our cosmic brothers and sisters, who I don't see as angels. I see them as other life forms with their own flesh if they need it. They can be physical and they can be energetic. I know they can be both ways. That's my experience of them. What about you? Have you had any stereotypical alien contact with cosmic brothers and sisters?
I have had I have a whole sheet of alien contact. So let me turn to it, because I wrote down so many things in a little book. Okay. Uh, in 1984, I was 9, and that's when V came out. Do
I
you remember
remember
V?
the TV show, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And it was about reptilian aliens
very
disguised as
scary. Yeah,
humans, and they wanted to like eat us, right?
yeah, they're
But
horrible. Run
but
around killing people.
I think it was in season 2 that it was revealed that they had like a fourth column in V, that they had like guys that were helping us, that wanted to protect us and weren't down with eating humans. They were like vegetarian reptilians or whatever. So at that time in my life, things had been really, really dark, and I needed a father figure, and there was just no one available in my life. But I made up a kind reptilian alien that I talked to.
Do you think you made him up, or do you think
Well,
you were visited?
I mean, yeah, yes. If I'm the higher self, and the higher self is the higher self, and up top and keep going, yes, it's all yes, right?
And what advice did this father like reptilian give you? Because in the book, 15% experience reptilians. And then in another part of the book on the survey, only 5% are really afraid of aliens because they have multiple experiences.
It
So
was
that
all,
means at least 10% of the reptilian experiencers are not afraid of them.
I was not afraid at all. Very, very kind, rational, reasonable advice to give like a 13-year-old kid, right? Or 9. It was basically from when I was 9 till when I was 13 that I had this kind of relationship. And also in that time, I did have like a UFO sighting, um, which was the night I got my Indian name. I got As I came out of the teepee and I was standing by the fire, I was looking up into the sky, and there was just tons of the little lights, and it looked like they were going around the stars, and they were going in little curlicues, and then they'd separate one into 2 and then 2 into 4, and they were all doing this magnificent display in the sky. It's actually one of my art pieces that I sent you.
Oh, great. We're going to go through that in a little bit. So I've seen video of that display as well. In fact, today or yesterday. I'm going to have to dig it up and send it to you on an email and see if that's anything like what you saw with all those lights turning, spreading into more lights and more lights and more lights and swirling around each other.
And it was only like 2 or 4 of us maybe that saw this whole display in the sky. It was entirely private for us in our group, in our teepee on the prairie.
Were there more people there who didn't see it, or
There were
everybody there got to see it?
Most of the people were inside the teepee during the display. It was only me and the firekeeper, and I think might have been a lady making tea who came out once or twice, but it was really, really private. So
That
very
is so
lovely.
awesome. So, who else? I mean, you're comfortable with the idea of communicating with reptilians. I am too, but I have to be honest with you, I don't recall one in my memory. And you know from watching my videos and the shows I've done with Shane that I've got contact from 5 to 58, and then so does the rest of my family, the females in my family have it. Some of the guys do too, but they don't really talk about it or remember it. Did you see
I
any
don't
other
recall
types? Like
any other
graves? Did you
types.
get little graves?
I sent you a photo of the blue guys from Communion. They're the squat blue aliens, and you find almost no stories about these guys, but I definitely had like an interaction with them that I perceive as being in the dream world. I think, I might have actually been sleepwalking or awake, but these guys opened a portal from behind my oven, and they came into my house, but they weren't dressed like the communion dudes. The communion dudes are dressed in like, they look like medical priestly robes or something.
Right.
It's like they're sacred doctors or something. But these guys were dressed in like workmen's outfits, like they were plumbers or something like that.
Were you wide awake if this
No,
was in the kitchen?
no,
No.
no. Just like I, I saw a huge ship in my back, but it was in the same state, the same. It was like a dream. I felt like it was also like it was real, but it was just kind of veiled from my 3D physical self a little bit.
So that part of the book that I've been describing on different shows and videos where they say that all of the contact is happening in an altered state of consciousness, whether you're awake or asleep, you're in a different state so that you can be communicated with. You get that, don't you?
We are not a single being. We're a multiplicity of beings making decisions that either vary slightly or greatly. And so, like I said, we're choosing the timelines we're experiencing as star seeds. We're choosing those timelines. So I think, does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah.
Do you feel like starseed? I
Oh,
do.
definitely, definitely.
Do
I
you feel like reptilian starseed, or do you feel like you're different?
I don't know. It, Ronnie in VA told me once that I was a Nordic starseed with no prior human lifetimes, and I don't know about the first part, but I'm pretty sure about the second part. This is a pretty alien place to me. It remains so.
It is a very alien place. And a lot in our community say that. Did you see the interview that Shane and Sherry did with me and Ronnie, who were both in that UFO book?
No.
Yeah, you might want to go back. I might put that in the link here for other people to watch. She feels very foreign here, too. The problem with being foreign here, when you finally figure it out, at first it's lonely because you're so different, right? And a lot of starseed have difficulty connecting, but then some don't. And the other thing is getting angry at humans for being so greedy and mean. And then you realize, wait a minute, look at my family and look at my neighbors, and my friends. They're not greedy and mean. That's a small percentage of humanity, but it's the percentage that runs things down here. It's the powerful group that appear to be a bit greedy, a bit mean, and everybody else just kind of goes along with it. Would you agree with that?
I would. And also, this plane is littered with ego traps. And once you're in a 3D body and it comes with an ego, and it's really easy for even a starseed to get caught in a really long-term ego trap. You know,
I
we
know
all
what you
have to
mean.
have a
I've
path.
always, but I've always felt like you couldn't pay me to be a celebrity. From the day I was little, that was not what I wanted. Yet most of my friends were singing and dancing, and they wanted to be Madonna. And like most of the boys wanted to be a big football player. And I always steered clear of celebrity. Did you as well?
Yeah, yeah. No
That seemed
interest in it.
too great a price to pay with a very little reward behind it. That's really interesting. Did you ever have to forgive humanity? Like Shane and I talk about, at some point
Oh,
we
sure.
realized that if you're dealing, and this sounds so arrogant, but if you're dealing with a toddler, they can't do algebra.
Mm-hmm.
So the wars and the aggression is being worked out here, and you have to respect the level that humanity's at, and eventually they will work it out of their system, and it won't be a place of war and domination. Did you get through that as well, where you had to forgive the
Oh, yeah.
entire species?
Aggressive forgiveness.
And
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it changes everything when you do. I really feel when I was doing the event videos and talking to people about the event, which used to be called the shift, okay? Back in my day, you're younger. And they were like, hurry up, come on, event, blast me off of this planet into a place that they described that would be like 5D Earth, would be like heaven. And they called, no, it's not heaven because you're not going to die. You're just going to be vaporized with your body, transferred to a 5D Earth that is just like heaven. I'm like, that sounds like dying and going to heaven, which could be the rapture. I don't know if you have any Catholicism in your background and ever read the Bible, the harvest, the rapture, the event. And a lot of people who are starseed and are frustrated with humanity just want it today. They're like, hurry up. And I realized when I forgave humanity, I didn't care how long I stay here anymore. Are you the same? Are you comfortable being here now? And would you come back to do more work here?
Ooh. I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable here for however long the lifetime is that it is. I don't know if I'll come back. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I'm here to see this big shift. I mean, depending on how I feel about things after the shift, I might be really oriented to come back and experience more here.
That is a good point. That if the shift in the event does take place, say within our lifetimes, then there's all the reason to come back because this stuff's going to be worked out, you know? So that's a very good point. But I'm not sure because I don't know the timeline and nobody does. So I know you don't have to choose now because I had my NDE and I died flatlined. And at that point, the choice does not even need to be made then. I was not being asked, whether I wanted to come back. I was sent back in my body. That was like, boom, it's not your time. Got to go back in. I wasn't given a choice, right?
No,
So
that
people
was,
don't have to fear that. They
but
don't
that's
have to
exactly what my near-death experiences
tell
were
me about it.
an option to back out.
How old were you?
I had two near-death experiences. I don't know if I flatlined. The first time I got a very bad burn, and I believe I must have gone into shock on my way to the hospital. And the second time I nearly drowned. I was 4, so they were about a year apart on this side, but on that side it was a singular experience. Like it had 2 doors to the experience, and that me going back the second time just gave me more depth of awareness of what happened on that other side.
Do you recall being asked if you want to go back?
that was the entire thing. And both of those were options to back out, because the path I was on, I was shown my pre-birth experience. Like I was shown my choosing my parent. I was shown I was given a good overview of the soul contract and what it was going to be doing over the course of my life. And because it was so bad for so long, I was given the option to back out. But of course, prior to all of that happening, twice.
Well, see, I wasn't given the option, but I was 17. And it was a shock reaction called anaphylactic shock. I had been over-immunized. I was in the Middle East. And I was getting a heck of a lot more than most people get. And my sister, when she was 50, because I was 17, was given the option. She was on life support, and she got to the other side, and, in the form of my grandmother, who was dead, said, "Do you want to go back?" So it's interesting how different it can be depending on how old you are, and the situation.
Part of my pre-birth experience that I experienced in that near-death experience was also being shown an experiential metaphor in which it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I kind of started to understand it. It was really only now that I kind of feel that I fully understand it. I was on a dark street. It was like it was Broadway in New York, and it was full of theaters, but they were all dark and empty. But there was one theater where the lights were on, the doors were closed. I knew everybody was in that theater. Everybody was in there. And I wanted to be in there so badly. I could feel like standing outside the doors, wishing I could be in there just to see the show anywhere. And then my guide shows up and hands me tickets to the front, to the best seats in the house.
And this really happened.
And
this
the doors
is an
open.
Awake experience.
It's my starseed experience of me wanting to come to this theater, the Earth Theater, for the big show, to see the huge, amazing show that all the other theaters in the universe, all the Atlantean and Lemurian and Syrian theaters are all empty because everyone's here to see this show.
Do you know why? Do you know why the show is so spectacular?
I think it's restructuring the entire experience for everything.
Dimensionally? Yeah,
for everything, for everyone. That's the kind of the story that you hear reflected back.
Because I'm doing some research on the fact that it's quite obvious to our government, but not to us, that the Earth is having huge cataclysms every 6,000 to 10,000 years. And they consider that a reset of humanity on the planet because it wipes out writing. Or if people can write after the events, it's wiped out what they wrote down before. So it's really interesting because it's like wiping the slate clean. So we don't know what came before. So we can only go back in our historical record as far as 4,000, 5,000 BC with writing. Now, 20, 30 years ago, they took that writing back 6,000 years, but not BC. So that would have been, a little bit longer. They took it back longer, and now they're shortening it and saying it's really not that old. We thought it was older, but it's not. So do you see this as a physical event as well as a spiritual event? Just like we have physical bodies, but there's a spirit or soul in here experiencing the physical world. Do you see it as both?
I think it'll have to be both. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And that sometimes scares a lot of people, but I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with I don't know, scary things. I don't have nightmares.
I don't either.
Yeah, I stopped having nightmares a long time ago.
Yeah, I was probably a child when I had my last one. I can't remember. And neither does my daughter. Not even as a child. Never had a nightmare.
I think I do a lot of things in the dream world and that I'm not even aware of. Like I know I go to the big university and like the flying room. I've experienced the flying with the big university that some people talk about.
So. Yeah, I know the halls. I've seen them. I don't know if I've seen them in meditations or dreams or lucid dreaming. because sometimes I can't tell the difference between those states when I'm in it. And I've seen it, been there. It's like, it feels like so much home for me. So when I came here, I've been studying, like reading like crazy. Like sometimes I could read for 8 hours straight, whether it was a book or something online, and this is outside of university. So just really studying, studying, studying. So I think in between lives, I choose to study. I choose to learn. And so when I'm here, I'm like, whoa, better find out everything I can find out about being here. Do you ever feel the same way? Like you don't know enough about being here or the earth or the animals or how it all works 3D?
I love finding new things to study and to dive into, for sure. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into using that as a segue. Okay, this is the first time I've ever done screen share. So I'm going to go to your beautiful, amazing artwork, which I asked you to send me. And we're going to start. It could be in a different order than what you sent them to me in,
Okay.
because I put them from the email up onto my desk. And it always does this when Shane does this. And you get rid of it by shrinking your Hangout screen. Now,
There
can
we
you
go.
tell me what you see on the screen?
I see the blue communion dudes.
It's
Yeah.
working then.
There we
It's
go.
working. Now,
Perfect.
I felt like this was from a movie. Is this a photograph from a movie?
That's from Communion, the movie made of the Whitley Strieber Communion movie. And so
I
those are the
know
blue guys from behind my oven.
Whitley Strieber
Yeah.
wrote Communion.
Yeah.
Now, he's a contributor to the book UFOs, Beyond UFOs, the science of consciousness with non-human intelligence, Volume 1, available on Amazon, because we don't have bookstores really anymore, do we? I guess there's a
No.
couple, but I doubt it'd be in there anyway. And he changed his mind. He said when he wrote this book and this became the movie, he was afraid of them. And now, an old man looking back, he said, I'm not afraid of them anymore.
No. No, nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, they kind of look like monks, don't they? Kind of like
Yeah.
human troll monks.
It's medical and a bit priestly, so yes, I think so.
They don't really look scary to me, though. If you look at their faces are okay,
No, they're not scary. No, I'm not scared of them.
No, me neither. Now, this is amazing. Is that two?
Yeah, it's a
Um,
diptych.
two paintings?
Yep. Yeah. It's a
This is your
diptych.
work.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
my
your
work.
paintings. Do you sell your paintings?
I don't. I hoard them. I keep them all for myself.
My mom did that. She was a wonderful artist, and she's like, I really can't part with these. She said, I'm putting my soul in there, so I don't want to sell them. Now, this looks like you to me. I just see you.
Yeah, it's a self-portrait. It's a real event that happened to me, and I got blessed by. It felt like hundreds of tiny little minnows in a river in Manitoba.
Were you actually physically in the river, or were you meditating or in an out-of-body experience at the time?
I was in a river at the ceremony grounds on the reserve I grew up at, and it was a hot autumn day. I think it was like September, but it was really hot, and I went for a swim, and I found a nice boulder that I could sit on and have my head just up out of the water. And this happened. It was really magical.
That is
I had a
absolutely beautiful.
couple animal visitations. Yeah.
I had I guess I was about 24, St. Croix, with my dad and my brother, and I had a riptide experience. Now, I grew up partly in Trinidad, and we had a lot of riptides, and we were advised to float with them, that if it took you out to sea, it would take you back in on another part of the island, hopefully not over some coral, with, breakers and things like that. And in St. Croix, we decided to fight the riptide because it had taken us so far out so fast. The hotel looked like a matchbox. We could still see it, though, on the horizon. And I was the only one who had strong enough legs to swim against it on the top of the water. And the only reason I bring that up is because that fish, that color, that size, and that shape, perhaps a little bit more orange
Mm-hmm.
than pink, swam with me the whole way. because I had my snorkel and my goggles on, and I had to get rid of my fins because the fins were catching the riptide going in the wrong direction, and I had to skim the top of the water. And I'm telling you, that fish was with me all the way through till I hit the shore. When I did hit the shore, I couldn't walk. There was no more energy in my legs, but people came up to me and said, "Oh my God, were you out there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, my brother and my dad are still out there." And then they couldn't use their little boats. They had to use surfboards. And they got some guys, went out on surfboards and brought my dad back and my brother back. And we were miles and miles out. So a fish just
Wow.
like that,
What an
just like
amazing
that.
story.
Yeah,
That's
he
great.
swam at my chest so that when I had my face in the water, I could just focus on the fish. I could just watch the fish swimming with me all the way. So it felt like a blessing. It really felt like a blessing fish.
A total blessing. I totally understand because that's what this was for me too, a big blessing.
Yeah, it was like almost like that little fish was telling me, be like me, be like me, be like me, be a fish, be a fish. And it worked. It got me where I
Yeah.
needed to go. Now this is nice. Is this like cornfields or canola fields, and is it by your home?
I think they were wheat or oats, and
Okay.
it was by the reserve I grew up at. And I think I was 10 or 11. My stepdad had gone to get coffee in the paper first thing in the morning, and he ran into a farmer who said on his morning drive, he saw that his cornfield had been, or his field had been disturbed,
Crop
and
circle.
but it was Sasquatch. It was a group of Sasquatch. A family group came up from the riverbank into the field, which was kind of like a pie-shaped field,
So now
and
I see the footprints now that I
and
know what I'm looking at.
and then you could tell that like a group of maybe 3 or 4 of them had sat down and had like a little starlight picnic,
Hmm.
and then you could also see that the big male big male who must have weighed as much of as a moose for how much soil displacement I saw. He roamed around the whole site. He must have gone around twice, 2 or 3 times.
Oops, I lost it. Did I hit the wrong screen?
I maybe you did. I'm sure we can get it back.
I'm going to try to get it back. There we go. Does that look good or not?
I can see it. Looks good.
Okay, so what's your theory on Sasquatch? Did you learn growing up? You obviously had a tribal education,
Mm-hmm.
which um, were you also raised Catholic or Protestant or any other religion?
I was raised so in the Midewin Lodge in the Anishinaabe culture on my reserve that I grew up on. But I was also raised with a lot of exposure to the Baha'i faith.
Oh, okay. I know about Baha'i, not intimately, but we have a temple in Chicago, and there's a temple in California.
Yeah, the
And
temple in Chicago is so, so beautiful.
yes, I have seen it. I believe, and I could be wrong, that the Baha'i faith welcomes all people of all religions:
Yep, they
Buddhist,
do.
Hindu, Catholic, tribal African, Native American. It welcomes all faiths.
Yep.
And it kind of reminds me a little bit about Buddhism in terms of the peaceful path. Would you say that is like, do no harm, first do no harm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Beautiful faith to follow.
it
A little
is.
bit more deep and philosophical than Unity Church. Unity Church claims to do the same, and they have some great speakers. And I don't know if you know Unity, but this is a little bit more spiritual based, the Baha'i.
It's got some interesting writings that are worth looking at. So
Let me
people
ask before
can
I
check
move
it out
off
and see
this
what they
photo.
think when they're
I'm
opening.
feeling very, very Van Gogh-ish with the colors, and I love it.
So you just unearthed my secret. I think I kind of channeled Van Gogh a bit when I worked on this piece.
I feel he's my favorite
I had
painter.
I had used to have a poster of Starry Night on my wall, and then
Beautiful.
before I
I
started
have
working on
irises
this,
in my bedroom. I have Van Gogh, or do you say Van Gogh?
he didn't correct my pronunciation, so Van Gogh was all right with him.
Okay. So
But
I have a Van Gogh irises, if you know the irises, a big,
he made me take it down. He made me take it.
Really?
I got compelled to take it down over the course of a month, and so I finally took it down. And then he came in and worked with me on this painting. He helped me make this painting.
Now, in your opinion,
Mm-hmm.
did you learn anything about Sasquatch? That's what I was asking you about your religious upbringing. Did they teach you? Did your elders teach you
They're
anything about
interdimensional
Sasquatch?
beings. Yeah, they're interdimensional beings. They don't naturally. Well, they can exist just fine on this plane, but you know how cats can some cats can slip out of spaces, and people say they kind of slip between the worlds. I think that the Sasquatch do the same thing, but this is the natural plane where cats live, whereas the natural plane where Sasquatch live is another place, which is why we'll never find a body of a Sasquatch, because it would go back to that other place.
And would that be another dimension of Earth or another place entirely away from Earth?
I've heard a couple people say it's another dimension of Earth. I'm not sure.
I'd like to know more about that. I've heard the theories and I'm like, wow, how do they get here and how do they go? But we've got more photos to look at. And my little slideshow mechanism has disappeared on me. So that's interesting. Let me see if I can bring us back.
I think it's that other little button you've got up on top that says hangouts.google.com is sharing your screen. And now you just want to put hide.
Well, no, here's this,
No?
the I practiced before we went on. And where, can you see my cursor? That's where the slideshow was. I would hit
Oh,
right there and we would just go through everything. So I'm going to stop sharing
okay.
and I'm going to bring you back. There we go. We're back again, and I'm going to try to go back into sharing and see if I can get my slideshow arrow back.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, you guys are so good. You don't mind when I experiment because this is all pretty new to me. So I'm going to hit share again. Oh, I can hear the thunder rolling. Is it coming through at all, my speaker?
I can't hear it yet.
Okay. It might just be me. Nope, I'm not getting my slideshow back. So I'm going to mess around on the screen
Yay.
and pull some up. Let's see. Which ones have we seen? Do you see these little thumbnails? I see. We're on 5. Here we go. Can you see that? Is that coming up?
I can see it.
Love the color. Love the oranges. Is that an actual rug in your home?
That was a house I lived in when I was about 7, where I had my out-of-body experience. It was a real orange shag rug. It was really ugly.
As it lends great color, though, to an environment that otherwise might be bland without it because it's so orange and it's so fiery.
Yeah.
With the yellows in there like the sun.
Yeah. So this is in process. I'm not finished yet because I just feel unsure about painting a little scene in there still. So I'm just
Really?
mustering up the courage. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome. We get to see something that's not done yet because there's space for more.
Yeah. That's my out of body experience. So
Okay, so this, and do you paint that a lot? And what are you using? Are you using acrylics or chalk or crayons?
acrylics usually. Yeah.
Okay, so this looks like a pool. Were you swimming?
Yeah, that was my near death experience when I nearly drowned when I was 4. So that will be, I'll paint myself in there.
So a lot
Struggling.
of this artwork that you're doing is processing all the really interesting NDEs, OBEs. Oh, it'd be interesting if you drew the reptilian friend that you knew. Do you think you'll ever paint him?
I never had a visual of him, so probably not.
Look at those colors. Have you noticed in the Mandela effects how
Oh,
everything's going
that's,
rainbow?
yes. But this is a real story too. I think this is in 2012. I was outside. It was winter, and there was a really, really low cloud cover. It didn't seem very high at all, maybe 30 feet above. So there's only just a very short, pure place where you could stand. And it was a relatively warm winter night, especially with that cloud cover. It was really peaceful, but it was like firework lights coming down through the clouds and lighting up the clouds, and they would reflect off the snow on the ground. And but there was no sound. It wasn't fireworks. I wondered if it was like the northern lights coming down through the, because I know they can come down and touch the ground even, but those I know make a sound. I've heard that sound, and I didn't hear any of that
To
sound
make a
that night.
magnetic
So I don't
buzzing
know,
sound, right?
like whips though too. It sounds like whips, Zzz, bzz, 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 like whips in the sky. Yeah,
Interesting. So I wonder where those colors were coming from.
I have like I have no idea. It was an amazing event, and nobody else saw it, so
That's cool.
it was really cool.
I've seen a little bit of Northern Lights in Chicago. As a child, we'd get a bit of it, and we're supposed to get more now. I think we're going to get another self-portrait. Is that you?
I guess it is. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Picking sweetgrass.
It's beautiful. You can see the aura. Yes, and the aura is like crystalline. It's like diamond. It's and it's like water. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
What's on your lap there? What are you doing with the grass?
Well, I've got a little knife in my hand. Sometimes you'll cut the sweetgrass out if it's not coming out. You don't want to rip out the root system. And then I've got sweetgrass ready to be braided, sitting on my lap.
I see the knife, and I also see purple around your left hand.
Yeah, it's around both the hands. Like it's the aura color is kind of that purple. It's everywhere.
And are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed. My
That's
daughter's
interesting.
left-handed.
Ah, that's beautiful. That's a very peaceful picture for me to look at.
Thank you.
I could put all of these up, I'm telling you. Oh, look at the colors. What are we looking at there? Did you see a real cliff, or was this in your mind?
No, this is the ceremony grounds where the fish picture that we looked at earlier is in that river right there. And it's where I think it's where the naming ceremony was, close to this area as well. So where I saw that display of the UFOs from earlier. Yeah, sacred
Are we
land.
sacred land? Are we allowed to know your Indian name or not? Is that a sacred thing that you keep private?
No, I can tell you. It's Ojawashko Gijiguk.
And what does that mean?
It means blue skies.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
Thank you.
That's a great name. That's just beautiful. And the skies above this picture look like the violet of Saint Germain. It's that violet. It's like blue and purple. It's one of my favorite colors, and it's one of the hardest to find. You don't find many things with that kind of bright violet.
Beautiful. Beautiful, that radiant color. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, very. All of it. I see hearts too. I see hearts in the blue at the bottom of the painting coming up, growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that would be, is that a shell or a bowl?
Yeah, it's an abalone shell, and
Mm-hmm.
they're commonly used among most of the people I know, the Anishinaabe people that I know here in Winnipeg, for smudges,
Yep,
to build
yep.
smudges. So that's
I've
a
seen
smudge.
them. I don't have one. I have a different kind of shell over there for smudging with some sage. I love the smell of sage too. I've done some smudging. I've done some shamanic work with a local shaman. And oh, I got my arrow back. Maybe I just didn't go far enough over. See, watch.
Look, there
Magic.
we go.
So I guess I was in the wrong place. I was right here, and I just need to go a little further. Okay, now what is this? Is this a ghost? Is this a bird? Is it an eagle? It looks like it's coming from the moon.
It, it's part of the story or the narrative that when you burn tobacco and say a prayer, that the thunderbirds or the eagles will come and take that smoke up to Creator to take your prayer. So this is just a artistic representation of that.
Nice. Have you done a lot of that? Have you done a lot of prayer ceremonies on your own?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And what's this? This is really interesting. The figure almost appears to be floating.
That's just a story, I guess, a painting of when I went to Cathedral Grove on Vancouver Island. It's an old growth grove. It's magical, like it's like full of fairies, I think. You know, I didn't see any, but it just has that feeling like you're in a movie and the air is all golden.
And does it have huge trees like the redwoods of California?
Immense trees. Not that big, but really, really big. Yeah.
Do you know how old they are? Did you ever inquire into, are they 400 years old? Are they 1,000 years old?
I don't know offhand. I think they must be at least 400, if not, yeah, older than that. They're beautiful, beautiful.
The reason I ask is because, yeah, we think about like dogs and we love our dogs like family, right? Well, some of us do. And, we're lucky if they live 15 years. We're like, wow, why does something only live 15 years? And, we have maybe an 80 to 90-year-old lifespan if we're lucky. But these trees can be here for thousands and thousands of years. There's probably animals on the earth very deep in the ocean that are thousands of years old that we haven't discovered yet. But really, the oldest thing on the planet that we know of for sure are the trees.
I think rocks have their life experience as well too, though. So I know a lot of people who have
That's a good point.
relationships
The
with
rocks are
rocks.
older, and most people don't consider the rocks alive as organic, like a tree or an animal. But you're right, there's life in the rocks, and the rocks do grow, and the rocks are the oldest of all,
Yeah.
aren't they? They are even older than the
They observe
trees.
everything.
I am a real rock hound. I have rocks with me at all times. I don't know. Can you see me? Because I can't see me on the screen while I'm
Not
doing
yet,
this.
no.
Okay, so here we are. Can you see that now?
Yeah. And that's
So would that be the sage?
Another smudge. Yeah, another sage smudge. With the
Love it.
sunrise colors.
Very peaceful, very, very calm. Oh, wow. You got the rainbow clouds back again. I notice you do a lot of ceremonies on your own in your paintings.
Yeah, I guess they're very solitary.
Communing with the earth, communing with... Do you have spirit guides?
I guess so, yeah.
Would you say that your spirit guides are different than the cosmic brothers and sisters?
I don't know. I don't put a lot of demands on them. Like on Christmas, I guess like on Christmas is a good example. On Christmas Day, all day long, I had Archangel Raphael and Hestia with me. Do you know Hestia?
I do know Hestia, but I know Hestia from, is it the Greek myths?
Yeah, but she's like the hearth, she's like family
Earth.
and cooking. She helped me with cooking all day.
Harvest.
Yeah. So and like I said, Van Gogh came for working on that painting. I mean, they're all guides to me.
That's wonderful. I haven't heard that name. You popped it off a page for me. But I did study the world's mythology, Roman, Greek, Norse, and I do know of Hestia. But I've never heard it spoken by word before, so that was kind of cool. Thank you for that. Let's see. I think that's it. I think I've got them. I think I've got them all. So let me bring...
You know what you did miss is in the very center is the one that of my naming.
Where is that? Oh, yes.
Right by the head there. Yeah, there you go.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I did say, is that...
That's the one.
2 paintings, but it is 2 paintings, isn't it?
That was the other one. Yeah, this is the naming one. Yeah.
So I need this to get back over, but... Oh, look at that. And who's standing with you on the left?
Just a representation of the firekeeper who was there that night. It ended up looking a lot like my stepdad at the time. So,
Oh,
yeah.
I love the profile of the face looking back, and you can just see the little nose popping up. I lived my life like that as a child, always looking up.
Yeah, me too. Very much so. I loved the night. I was always going out at night and watching the stars or going for long walks.
And I could see a lot more stars than I can now. How about you? It's getting more difficult to see stars through the atmosphere.
Well, then I lived in the country and now I'm in the city, so it is harder. It is.
I like that swirls like the infinity sign as well,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the galaxy signs. Okay, so let's see if I can bring you back.
There you are. Hello.
Interesting. There you are.
There you are.
I just have to hit the right screen, you know? Well, I
Thank
really appreciate you sharing all your artwork with us. If you can just hold up, this is the first one that you showed me, was you did a sketch of me and Shane in one of our early Power of 8 at 8 shows.
Yeah, this is from September 22nd, 2018. Let's see here.
Perfect.
There's you, and there's Shane with his ball cap.
If I talk, it goes off, so I got to be quiet. Oh my God, that's awesome. So, is there anything you wanted to add before we sign off? Because I try to keep them to an hour. We can go over if we want. Um,
Mm.
you sound very peaceful with your life. You sound very peaceful with your mission. You sound very peaceful with your connections, be they to angels or guides or cosmic brothers and sisters. Is there any advice that you would give anybody in general in our community? How about somebody who's afraid of the shift or the event and the changes that are coming?
I guess I'd say like relax. Don't fight so hard to find things to be afraid of or to worry about. Uh, just kind of find a way to trust and to be at peace with the way things are in the present moment. Don't look ahead. If you focus too far ahead, that's just going to lead you to a bunch of anxieties. Like don't focus on the past. You know, it's going to fill you full of weird depression and magnify, you know, those ego traps that we've fallen into in the past. So try to stay present, breathe, you know, be kind to yourself and to everybody else. And like I said, aggressive forgiveness. So if you go out, find something to forgive, find, you know, you see the trash on the ground, find a way to forgive the person who put it there, the person who made it, the system that allows that to be the norm and the standard, and find a way to experience, to transmute that into something good, into a blessing somehow. Because we are the co-creators of this experience, and we can transmute anything that we put our minds to. That's
Is that
the
why
real
you think we're
power we
here?
have.
Is that
Oh,
why we're here?
absolutely. I think
Is
so.
that why everybody's here? Or is that why starseeds are here? What do you think?
Yes and yes. But I mean, star seeds, we're just, you know, we're the goose at the front, star seeds.
And we're
So
all here to transmute. What do we get out of it when we come here and we transmute the negative with blessings and forgiveness and love, right? What do we get out of it when we go? What do we take back with us? Any theories on that?
this experience is what we wanted, is all the fun in the world to us from that perspective. The up and down of this life is a roller coaster ride. This is the ability to thud into things is like super special and awesome apparently, and we should experience that. You know, go thud around, be real, be live in the present moment.
Get your feet in the dirt.
Yeah, you know, and yet still kind of maintain that higher connection with God, with your higher self, with your guides, with I don't know, with whatever you can put in that position that you can experience that love and connection feeling with.
That sounds wonderful. And sometimes I have to remind myself to go do that, you know? I mean, better now, but I went through a period where life was very stressful because of the way I thought about it, the way I perceived it. I experienced it very stressfully. And now I'm like, no, I have a choice on how I react, and I have a choice on how I view everything. And I'm a lot more chill than I used to be, you know? Well,
And isn't that the ticket? I'm so much happier now, and I'm so happy that we were
yeah,
able
me
to connect.
too. And we'll
Yeah,
continue connecting. And
absolutely.
I'm doing these contact shows up until he's SETI, and we'll see. I have no plans to continue them afterwards, but we'll see what life will bring. And maybe we shall get together and have another chat again.
Do you have anybody else coming on soon?
You're the last person that I booked, so I'll have to take a look around and shoot out some emails to people who. So if anybody is out there who has a contact experience, whether it's a ghost, a guide, or an alien, or an orb, whatever you want to talk about, where you've had contact with someone or something off of Earth that is intelligent and communicates with you, then please send me an email. It's in the description. I've set up the description ahead of time, so it's one on YouTube, but they wouldn't let me spell YouTube correctly, so it's a U tube. You'll see. It's in the show more notes on the bottom of the video. And Dawn Noel, Prettydark, thank you so much for coming on and letting us get to know you better and sharing your amazing contact experiences with the earth, with your paintings, and with your guides, and potentially with your cosmic alien friends.
Thank you so much, Eileen.
Thank you. Bye now. But
Bye.
and I'll check the chat out. It's in a little while. I'm sorry I can't yet talk and read the chat. That would make a mess of everything. And I don't know if I'll ever get to that point. But I love you all and thank you for watching, and make some comments afterwards. And if you want to share, please send me an email and we will share. This is Contact in the Community. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.